The games of the 35th Olympiad are awarded to Brisbane, Australia.
It's a great journey. There's a lot of work to do ahead of us. It's going to transform our city. It's going to make us a world city.
With Brisbane hosting the Olympics in 2032, you'd think local sports stars like Michael Tone would be over the moon.
It's extremely exciting for all of us.
But recent changes to funding of Queensland athletes could put a dampener on proceedings. A new strategy will focus on how best to support athletes who have the greatest potential to achieve Olympic and Paralympic medal-winning success. As a result, Gymnastics Queensland will lose funding for its High Performance Centre.
The funding's based on results from key events. We need money to be able to go overseas and represent Australia, but you need those results from those competitions to get that money.
A month ago, all parents and athletes received a letter telling them the centre would be closing this weekend.
I was devastated to hear the centre was going to be closed, especially given the short time frames that we were given.
The High Performance Centre has a long history of developing star gymnasts. Four-time Commonwealth Games gold medalist Joshua Jeffries trained at the centre, as did fellow gold medalists Thomas Pickler and Damien Istria.
Since the Sydney 2000 Olympics, we've had 60% of the male Olympians come from the centre.
But it's not just established athletes who will be affected by the closure. The centre is also home to many young hopefuls like 12-year-old Joseph Newman.
I was stressed out about it because we found out right before Christmas that we have to leave at the end of January. And what makes it worse is that my coach is leaving, so I really don't know what's going to happen next.
It's like a family, so it's not only about the place where they can train, but it's about the whole program and the people around him. So he loves that and he spends most of his time there.
I can't really explain it, you know. I really love gymnastics. It pushes me, not just physically, but mentally as well.
When the centre closes, Gymnastics Queensland plans to reassign coaches and athletes to local clubs to continue their training. Joseph Sr. is one of the few parents willing to speak out.
There is definitely fear of speaking out because it's not only about the parents that might think that speaking out might expose them and they would not get the support from the Queensland Gymnastics whatsoever.
A petition calling for the centre to remain open gained more than 4,000 supporters in just over a week. Faced with the overwhelming opposition, Gymnastics Queensland backflipped and deferred the closure for 9 months.
What's really surprising is that we are talking about 200,000 Australian dollars when it comes to the funding that is needed. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Gymnastics Queensland admits that it can't keep the centre open without funding from the Queensland Academy of Sport and says they're working through several options. But short of a change in policy, gymnastics could come a cropper.
I'll be 22 when the Brisbane Olympics comes here. I felt good about it until the gym was closing, because now I'm not sure if it's going to be possible.
This is one of those situations which happens across a lot of sports, and I don't want to call them fringe sports, but it's those sports that are sort of left behind when it comes to the Olympics and that sort of thing in terms of Australian participation, because it's sort of damned if you do, damned if you don't. You need the results in order to get the funding. However, you can't get the results
without the resources.
Funding. Yeah, and those resources. So it is really, really tough, especially for gymnasts in this country, because you do really need those high-performance type centres to really help out and carry you on that journey.
Yeah, and you've really got to feel for kids like that. 22, when the Olympics are here, he would have been right at his peak.
Perfect age.
Yeah.
Perfect age.